Peace, family. You are watching the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. I'm your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. I want to thank everybody for watching, hanging in there. I know we're running late. That's because this Gaza update comes after night school, and tonight night school ran longer than normal. Night school is our daily evening show from 10:30 until Monday to Thursday, 10:30 until just until. And we had a great conversation tonight. We had a brother on, Danny Lopez. Um, I said Danny Lopez, forgive me, Danny Shaw, who is currently going through a legal battle with the City University of New York as an advocate for Palestine. And then we covered some other topics, but we want to keep Palestine close to our hearts, but also close to our media representations, close to our media conversations. We want to make sure that the conversation on Israel and specifically on Gaza uh, is not forgotten or misrepresented. Um, we want to thank you for watching tonight. Israel's war on Gaza reaches day 185. Israel's war on Gaza reaches day 185. And here on the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel, we want to make sure that we cover the war on Gaza. We want to make sure that we cover every bit of information that mainstream media ignores. We want to cover every bit of information that corporate media has hidden from you. We want to make sure that the stories and the representations and the policy developments and the violence on the ground, the devastating impacts of this war on Gaza, this genocide in Gaza, we want to make sure that none of it ever gets obscured from you. And so that's why we're here every single day, every single night, no matter what's going on. And we've been doing it for a long time now. We're going to keep doing it as part of the work that needs to be done. We're not congratulating ourselves. We're not patting ourselves on the back. We're just doing the work that needs to be done. To talk about the war on Gaza in day 185, it's important for us to begin with the numbers on the ground. Sadly, the number of deaths since the October 7th attacks have reached now 33,207. That's to say 33,207 Palestinians in Gaza have been killed by Israeli forces since October 7th. In addition to those 33,207 deaths, we also have 75,933 wounded Palestinians since October 7th. The death toll in Israel from Hamas's attack stands at 1,139. And of course, there are dozens of people who are still held captive. Let's start with some of the more recent developments and some of the more recent acts of violence. Let's talk about Al Jazeera's Hind Khudari. Hind Khudari visited destroyed houses after Israeli troops withdrew from central Khan Younis after 4 months of ground assaults. Let me say that again. Khan Younis, which is in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip toward the south, has been attacked. It has been besieged. It has been occupied, invaded, whatever, for 4 months. And although Israeli troops withdrew because their mission is complete, whatever that mission is, we didn't just see the elimination of terrorist forces or the destruction of an enemy army. We saw the destruction of the entire environment of Khan Younis. People said, according to Hind Khudari from Al Jazeera's report, he said, quote, people told us they did not even recognize their houses, their neighborhoods from the amount of destruction. People didn't even recognize their own surroundings, their own homes, their own neighborhoods because of all of the destruction. That is a very scary thing. Another scary thing is the looming threat of invasion. Rafah, which is another city in the south of Gaza, has been the site of numerous threats of invasion by Benjamin Netanyahu. Rafah is in the south and it holds 1.5 million people right now. Rafah on a normal day, pre-October 7th, had about 250,000 citizens or residents. And now that number's up to 1.5, maybe even 1.6 million people. There are only 2.2 million in the entire Gaza Strip normally. And the reason they're all in Rafah is because part of the Israeli strategy has been to move people from the north to the south. And so people who were in the north had their homes destroyed. They were displaced. They were told that they wouldn't survive in the north, and they were placed on corridors to go to the south. Even the people who were placed on the corridors to the south, the safe routes, some of them were killed. But those who made it from the north or from the center uh, arrived in Rafah, where they were supposed to receive humanitarian support, but they have been denied a significant amount of that humanitarian support. And now the Israeli government and the Israeli military are saying, well, Rafah is a site of terrorist organizing. It's a military target. And so now they're saying that there's going to be a full scale ground invasion in Rafah. Even before Ramadan, they said this would happen. A couple weeks before Ramadan, they said that there would be an invasion. So there's always the looming threat of invasion. And the question about the invasion, of course, is what happens to the ordinary citizen? What happens to the innocent civilian? What happens to everyday people, men, women, children, whatever, who are in Rafah? Now, the Israeli government says, oh, we're going to lead them back up north, to a safe haven. Well, history shows, and not even history, just recent times have shown that these humanitarian corridors, these safe routes, these protected spaces are anything but. And so we have to be constantly cognizant of what this could mean for Palestinian people who are seeking freedom. And there's a very clear desire by the Israeli military, or by the Israeli government, and many military leaders and ordinary citizens who simply want the people who are already in Rafah, which again is at the south, right near Egypt. They want to see them continuing to go south and basically leave the Gaza Strip. This is ethnic cleansing if you don't let them back. This is depopulation if you create the conditions for people to leave their homes, leave their country, and then don't allow them back in. And of course, history does instruct us that them being allowed back in, um, this is problematic. Now, up until now, people have hoped secretly that the invasion of Rafah is still just a threat, that it's used to obtain some kind of diplomatic or political leverage, and that there wouldn't actually be an invasion, despite what Netanyahu has consistently promised. Well, Netanyahu now says that there has been a date set for a ground offensive in Rafah. Now, this full-scale incursion into the Gaza Strip is one that goes against what the U.S. wants. It goes against what Germany wants. It goes against what all humanitarian organizations and international medical, legal, philanthropic organizations have asked for, which is to not create a humanitarian crisis by invading Rafah. But it doesn't seem to matter. It doesn't seem to matter. Some other things have happened, though, in this evening, beyond the sort of target of Rafah, which is still abstract in some ways. And although Netanyahu says there's a date set, he didn't tell us what the date was. But in addition to all of that, several Palestinians have been killed as Israeli bombardment of Gaza continued across the Gaza Strip overnight. This is according to the news agency Wafa. In the most recent attack, one person was killed, 20 others were injured in an Israeli airstrike in a house in the city of Deir el-Balah, which is in the center of the Gaza Strip. Wafa also reported that 5 people were killed in an Israeli bombing in the camp known as Maghazi, which is also in the center of the Gaza Strip. According to media reports, the mayor of Maghazi has been killed in an attack on a council building. One person was killed and others were injured in an Israeli bombing that targeted committees working to secure aid southeast of Gaza City. So that's also from Wafa. So we've seen multiple attacks in multiple buildings. We've seen private homes. We've seen government buildings. These are not attempts to have surgical strikes. These aren't attempts at even targeted strikes. These are attempts to just blow up every single thing that's in the built environment of Gaza. And I don't say that with any hyperbole. I'm saying that because we consistently see homes bombed, refugee camps with large amounts of women and children, elderly folk in it bombed. We've seen every university in the Gaza Strip destroyed. We've seen hundreds of schools bombed. We've seen wells destroyed, over 112 of them. And so there's simply no reason to believe that what's happening in Gaza is an accident, or that it's just uh, regrettable but necessary collateral damage. No, 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 no. This is something more. This is something dangerous. This is something scary. Some updates on humanitarian stuff. Yesterday, about 322 humanitarian trucks were allowed to get into the Gaza Strip. They came from Kedem Shalom, which is a crossing, and also Rafah, which is the other border crossing in the south. So there is some excitement about that. According to Tariq Abu Azum, who reports from Rafah, he says these humanitarian convoys are loaded with water, sugar, flour, and all kinds of basic necessities the Palestinians very desperately need. Hopefully, this will make some headway. On the bad side of things, the Palestinian Red Crescent Society said yesterday, on Sunday, that nurse Mohammed Abid has been found dead 2 weeks after Israeli forces fired at him during an evacuation of El Amal hospital where he was working. According to a news story, according to Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant, Israeli troops aren't just preparing for ground invasions in Rafah, but they're also going to be engaged in other ground operations. And they're basically moving troops around. They're withdrawing from some areas, like the ones we mentioned already, and they're loading up in other areas. This is very, 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 very scary. Now, diplomatic moves are also in the news. There have been negotiations for a truce, and allegedly they're making progress in Cairo. All the basic points are there. One thing, though, that we're hearing very loudly, very, very loudly, and very consistently has been the voice of Hamas's leadership and other leadership that basically say that a ground invasion immediately blows up in the air any kind of truce. And Sami Abu Lahari, who is a senior Hamas spokesperson, said that the invasion threat, just the threat, not the actual invasion, but the threat, quote, raises questions about the purpose of resuming negotiations. So there's going to be some tough conversations happening in Egypt, as there always are in these kinds of matters. Anyway, we're going to pause there. I know it's late, but I want to give everybody an update on some of the bigger issues and some of the biggest stories that are taking place in Gaza. And we'll have more of it for you tomorrow. So thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you are so inclined. Let the algorithms know that you're rocking with us. Hit the subscribe button so you can find out what's going on with the channel and have your own voice heard. And of course, if you're so inclined, hit the join button, become a monthly member of the channel. It is incredibly important that we expand the number of members, and we also expand the number of memberships so that we can do the work that I believe we're called to do here. I want to shout out Karen D again for becoming a member again. I want to shout out Psychology and Crime for being a new member, Big Dumb Animal for being a new member. But we got some big donations here. Chad Zichterman gifted 5 memberships. I'm so grateful for that, as did Venetia Davids. I'm so grateful for it. You have Hamid. Thank you for the sticker. Thank you for the stickers, man. You have no idea how grateful we are for all the support we get here on the channel. And so I just ask everybody to keep watching, keep supporting, and keep doing the work of justice, and we will get there. I'll see you all soon. Peace.